松尾先生のゼミに所属している竹信アンナと申します。私は幼少期に話される修助詞の男女差について研究しました。これを調べるために日本人の男女2名の子供を研究対象としました。私が調べたことは、いつ最初の修助詞が話されたかと、種類と頻度と、修助詞がどのような意味で使われているかと、発話が母の発話に影響されているかどうかということを調べました。
I'm Anna TAKENOBU. My thesis title is Gender Differences in Sentence Final Particles in the Speech of Normally Developing Japanese Children. Today's contents are following. If we pay an attention to the conversational styles of men and women, we can see that they speak differently. One of the differences is pronounced in sentence final particles, which are letters that come at the end of a sentence. For example, yo, ne, and zo. It has a role of indicating the attitude. I will compare the gender differences in sentence final particles by analyzing the utterances of two children. I used Childes, which is a collection of public data including the speeches of children. I analyzed the utterances of a boy named Asato and a girl named Nanami when they were between 1 and 4 years old. Thesis clarifies when sentence final particles begin to appear, the types and frequencies, and the content of the sentences to see roles. I also examine their mother's speeches and see whether or not the sentence final particles used by the children pattern similarly with those used by their mothers. The first time the sentence final particle emerged was when Asato was 1 year, 9 months, and 15 days old, and when Nanami was 1 year, 9 months, and 28 days old. There was no particular difference in the time when they first produced it, and both of them used yo and ne only. I will state the types and frequencies. This table shows sentence final particles that were used more than 90 times in total. Asato used it at a total of 2,216 times, and Nanami did 3,087 times. In both cases, yo was used the most frequently. There are gender-specific sentence final particles. Na and sa are only found in the boy. Wa and kashira are only found in the girl. It can be said that gender differences begin at 2 years old in terms of language only appearing for one gender. This graph tells the kinds and the number of sentence final particles between the age of 1 and 4. We will turn to the meanings of sentences. When sentence final particles are divided into measure functions as shown on the bottom of the screen, we can see that Asato uses them more to make an assertion. On the other hand, Nanami speaks interrogative sentences and consent statements as many times as she makes a point. I looked at their mother's speech. It was found that the mother and their child speak in the same way because there was not much of a difference in the kinds of sentence final particles that often spoke, the meanings of the sentences, and the parts of speech used together. I consider that differences in sentence final particles might come from differences in the way to play. The boy played as a certain character and talked a lot of technical terms. The girl played her character in a pretend play. From these different ways of playing, the girl might naturally produce words and have more opportunities to speak sentence final particles. In conclusion, The gender differences were found in the total number of sentence final particles and the frequency of use when the particles are divided into major meanings. On the other hand, there were no differences in the time to produce sentence final particles first and the types of them. The results also showed that children were roughly influenced by their mother's language. The differences are showing up in various ways, and they are seen from childhood. Thank you for listening.
もともと子供にすごく興味があって、で、子供に関することはやりたいなと思ってたんですけど、大人でも修助詞が違うなっていうふうに普段から思ってて、で、それの起源というか、最初はどこからなんだろうというふうに思って、で、それで子供の修助詞について調べようと思いました。私は、すべての発話をノートに書き起こして、だいたい5000語ぐらい書き起こしたので、それが一番大変だったなって思いました。今まで生きてきた中で一番成長した4年間だったなと思います。コロナでもう3、4回生の時はもう地元の方に帰ってしまったので、最初の2年間だけなんですけど、ダンスサークルに入っていたので、人前で踊るっていうことがなんか自分の中ですごく大きな経験になって、それが一番楽しかったなと思います。私は地元で就職するので、ジムをするんですけど、ジムを選んだ理由が自分が人を支えるのが得意だなと思ったので、ジムを選んだので、会社全体を支えたり、個人個人を支えたりということもできるので、そういった面で力が発揮できたらいいなと思います。